Welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is another roster review. This is for Litlmike. Man, Litlmike is one of my patrons, and he's awesome. He's been giving me so much feedback on my roster reviews, trying to get me more laser focused so I can shorten them up, but get more information in them. So I'm covering everything possible. He is represented by TNR Mace Windex, so shout out to TNR Mace Windex. Awesome. We are going to go ahead and zip through this now. Litlmike, so you have a background on him, is utterly and completely free to play, hasn't spent a penny on the game, so this is going to be an excellent review for anybody who is completely and utterly free to play. He's been playing for about 6-7 months-ish, so not a super long time, but long enough, and he's currently using this arena team to the left, which isn't bad, although the suggestion I would make is probably to pull one of the tanks, and I would pull Stormtrooper Han if it was me, and I would put an Emperor Palpatine in his place since you have Emperor Palpatine. That way you can get some of that shock, which is like a buff immunity, and you get stuns, and you're going to get Boba Fett's ability block, plus a Boba's going to have everyone do more damage, and you really only need one tank. So if you want to cut through your arena, you're probably going to have to get rid of Stormtrooper Han for another heavy-duty attacker, and I think Emperor Palpatine's your best bet. So there's my suggestion there. As far as your stats and everything, that looks great. We're going to go ahead and jump into a couple of questions that you had. The first was, how do you get into the top 10 arena? Without spending a penny, it's going to be difficult and at times possibly impossible. It depends on your shard. It depends on how structured and laser focused you are. Now, I know you've been very focused, but I think Emperor Palpatine in place of Stormtrooper Han should get you into the top 20 relatively easily, knowing that there may be times when you have to very strategically use your 5 attacks throughout the day to carve your path up to the top. As far as you had mentioned 9B, the node 9B and 9C, because you want to be able to farm Shore Trooper and Bays, what teams? I really recommend that you borrow either Wedge from someone or General Kenobi from somebody, so that way you can do it, and then use your Admiral Akbar, Wedge, Biggs, Old Ben, and Jedi Knight Anakin, which you don't have right now, so we're going to talk about that in a minute. Or you could borrow the Wedge and use your Biggs, Lando, Jedi Knight Anakin, and Old Ben. So Jedi Knight Anakin is in both of my solutions for you. There are other videos you can watch on how to beat 9B, but for a free-to-play, it's really hard, and one of the characters I highly recommend and having on that is Jedi Knight Anakin. He's more durable, he's pretty tanky for an attacker, he's got an AoE, he can do buff immunity, and he triggers a lot when people are losing health and whatnot. As far as a really fun arena team that you could work towards that would be really top 10 possible is a Darth Vader lead. You had mentioned you wanted to work Darth Vader. So right now, your Darth Vader is all the way down here, unfortunately, but you had talked about the possibility of making him your very first Zeta, and that's not a bad Zeta. It's going to help you in the Rancor raid, and so that you can become more usable in that raid. But two, he's actually an excellent leader, regardless of the new Sith meta or the Rogue One meta or any of that. He'd be excellent, so you really have to gear him up and put some mods on him. Now, the reason why Darth Vader would probably be my number one character for you to get up is he's already 6-star. You're almost complete. You've got all of his abilities level 7. He makes an excellent leader. He's going to be great in the Rancor raids, and this is the other thing. He is one of the easiest to gear characters in the game. That is really important for you because you are completely and utterly free to play. You need somebody who you can get up and get up quick. I know, and you mentioned this, that when you're completely free to play, it takes like 6 weeks to kind of work on one character. So I'm only going to give you about 8 characters to work on. That's kind of pushing it, but if you work on them all at the same time, drop them into your favorites tab, you can work on all of them in the next 2 months, and you should get them all pretty decent over the next 2 months if you're working on them side by side. So you could work towards Darth Vader as your lead, and then use your Emperor Palpatine, use your Boba Fett, use your Shore Trooper, and then use B2 Battle Droid. Now, you don't have a B2 either, so B2 and Jedi Knight Anakin are your two that you don't have that I'd highly recommend getting. And B2, there's a lot of reasons for that, but he's going to help you really cut through your opponents and get to the next level. You could always sub out B2 for a heavy attacker, or you could move in Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine into this lineup. So anyway, there's a bunch of different options that you can do. So hopefully that'll help you. As far as another question you had, you said, should I do Rex or Maul? You already have Rex gear 10, so I would highly recommend working towards Maul. He'll be another one of them that I recommend. And you asked, how should you use your fleet tokens when you're farming for these characters? And my suggestion always is take your fleet tokens and divide them up. And then you also asked about factions. Should I be, farming a specific faction like Empire or Jawa? And I would say for free to play, utterly free to play, no, not at all. You're going to have to get 4 or 5 of each faction at some point so you can complete the mod challenges that are out there. But for arena and ships and just trying to be most effective in the game, focusing just solely on a faction to focus on a faction is ill will. I would not recommend it. I would just recommend on specific characters that are going to take you to the next level. Now, as far as Rancor, if you do get the Darth Vader up, you'll be able to use him and your other Empire and Sith to finish out the Rancor. As far as the heroic or even just regular AAT tank raid, free to play, really, it's going to be Jedis in phase 1, Jawas and or droids together or individually in phase 2. And then you're going to use your Empire Sith combos in 3, and then Rebels that you have in 4. That's going to get you your teams. You can kind of figure out whatever the best comp is for those teams. So I'm now going to go ahead and go into your top 8 characters that you should be farming and my opinions and why, so you know what you should be focusing on. Again, all 8 of these you should be dropping into your favorites tab and starting to work on them exclusively. I really feel like it will take you to the next level. The first and foremost is going to be Darth Vader. I highly recommend you get him up. Again, he's easy to gear, very easy to gear. He's an excellent leader, and when you eventually unlock and get the Zeta abilities, he's one of the best first Zeta abilities, especially for a free-to-play. And he could probably take you into the top 10 pretty easily. Darth Vader leads do very well against Darth Maul leads. The next one I would recommend you already have is Boba Fett. I would put him in your favorites and work on him. He is extremely difficult to gear at 7 raid gear parts. He's the worst, essentially, in the game. He's got almost 1,500 pieces of purple, so he's a terrifying experience to go through, but for free to play especially, that you have him gear 9. I would have him kind of in your favorites and working on him because you want to continue to level him up. You want to get him eventually to gear 10 and eventually, higher than that. But gear 10 is really that hard. It's hard to get up there with him, but I would put him in your favorites and kind of work on him, win a spot, when you get a raid piece that drops in and stuff that will help you take you to the next level. I would do it. So Boba Fett's definitely number 2. Number 3 is actually not on here at all. I don't see him at all, and that is B2 Battle Droid. And so I would highly recommend that you farm B2 Battle Droid, and I would make him a top priority, top 3. And the reason for that is the B2 Battle Droid is a disruption character. He disrupts any past, current, and future meta. He's going to put buff immunity, and he's a dispeller. He's the best dispeller in the game. He not only takes everybody's buffs away, but he replaces it 65% of the time with buff immunity. So he's phenomenal. He's tanky, but he's also not a taunting tank, which means that he will survive a little bit longer because he's not forcing everyone to attack him. So I would highly recommend B2. B2 can be used in, the raids and stuff if you want him as well, but more importantly, he's just really, really great for your arena team to carve through whatever arena teams you're having to face. And then I would go, the next priorities, or the next 5 are going to be based off of your preference. of what you'd like to farm, but I would highly recommend Darth Maul. And Darth Maul, you can get both his ship and him from the shipments, and this is there's a bunch of reasons why to get him. One, he's been reworked and he's now a very, very awesome character to have. He applies daze. Daze is one of those abilities like buff immunity that eliminates multiple abilities within the game. It negates or disrupts that, and disruption of the meta is important, so his daze is key. Plus he has a ship, the scimitar, and you need 5 to get Tarkin. You're going to have to get 5 dark side ships. You only have 3, I've looked, and so you're going to have to get 2 more. And if you're going to get 2 more and you're free to play, you should be highly strategic in which you decide to go for. And so I would say Darth Maul and Boba's ships, because you already have Boba Fett. But this is going to be probably the hardest grind for you. Next ones, like I said, you can do them on your own, however you see fit. But I would put Admiral Akbar into your farming list and continue to use him. He is the ship you're using in ships, and so you want to continue to develop him. You've got his abilities leveled up, good mods are on him, but you need to get him up higher on gear, and so he's at 7. It wouldn't take much more to get him to 8 and 9. I know that will take about a month with the other characters I'm telling you to work on, but Admiral Akbar for sure you want to continue to develop. So continue to work on him. I would say Admiral Akbar is probably the least important of everyone that I'm going to tell you to farm, so you could put him on the 8th slot of the 8th. So B2, Boba Fett, and Darth Vader are your top 3, and then Maul for his ship. You definitely want to do him. Admiral Akbar, and then the TIE Fighter pilot. He's a great Empire team, a great support, and you're using him in ships. He's one of your dark side ships, so you want to continue to develop him. You've already got great mods on him and his attacks and abilities up, so that's excellent. The only thing left to do really is to, because you've got him 7 stars, is to continue to gear him. So you'll want to continue to gear TIE Fighter pilot. And then the last 2 are going to be both Jedi. You've got Qui-Gon Jinn high enough, you've got Obi-Wan high enough, and Luminara high enough. If you're wanting to try to unlock Yoda, you're going to need 2 other Jedi, and I would recommend Ahsoka Tano and Jedi Knight Anakin. They're going to help you in getting Jedi or Yoda, but they're also going to help you with that Jedi team you need for phase 1. And Ahsoka has a ship, as well as Jedi Knight Anakin eventually will probably get a ship. So I would highly recommend those 2. Now, the biggest farming issue you're going to run into is Jedi Knight Anakin and B2, because they're both coming out of the cantina. So you're going to have to decide which one's more important for you. If Yoda is not that important, and it does not look like he has been that important to you, I would recommend B2 first, then Jedi Knight Anakin. But Jedi Knight Anakin is an excellent tune to be able to put into your team when you're going against, because he's disruption meta as well. He's got a good AoE, he's got a good basic attack. He can apply buff immunity just like B2, but he's going to be more focused on a singular character. But he can apply buff immunity just like B2. So they're both excellent characters. He's tanky, kind of like B2, and Jedi Knight Anakin will put way more damage down. So you might want to do Jedi Knight Anakin first if Yoda is important. Otherwise, do B2 first, and then Jedi Knight Anakin as far as farming. Ahsoka has an amazing ship that I really feel like you should be using, and you can get her ship out of the Galactic War store. So when you're doing Galactic War and getting those tokens, you're getting those the fastest of all. You could get her ship and get it up quick. You can also use it to get Jedi Consular's ship up as well, because you do use Jedi Consular's ship. I would gear Jedi Consular a little bit here and there, but I wouldn't worry too much about him. He's not in your top 8 at all. You're in the top basically 300, and you're using Admiral Akbar's ship. So you're currently using Biggs and Wedge, and that's excellent. That's what you should be doing. And then you're also using the 2 fighter pilots, the TIE Fighter and the First Order TIE pilot ships. The TIE Fighter ship and the First Order, both are going to apply target lock. So you got a couple target lock ships, so that's pretty good. And then you've gotten, those are both dark side. And then you're using a resistance ship, and I'm guessing you're using, Geonosian Soldier in your backup or whatnot. My suggestion, if you were farming the 3 ships actually you need to really farm, is Ahsoka's ship, which I mentioned, and you can get in Galactic War, and then Maul and Boba's ship. Now, Maul and Boba's ship are both rare, hard to get, and both in the fleet store only. So you need to share your tokens between them, or focus on one ship at a time. Do one ship, get it up unlocked, and then go to the other ship, get it unlocked, and then you can work on the star levels of each. But you need those 2 ships. You have Boba Fett already, so you need to get his ship. He's excellent. And once you have Maul and Boba Fett unlocked and you're using them in the fleet arena, I would recommend using your home one, Biggs, Wedge, the TIE Fighter pilot, and then using Maul and Boba's ship, and then using like Jedi Consular and Biston's ship, or Jedi Consular's ship and the Resistance pilot as your backups. But I would really get Maul and Boba in there. Until then, until you get Maul's ship and Boba's ship unlocked, you should structure your team, or try it anyway. Try it, see what you think. Biggs and Wedge, TIE Fighter pilot, Biston, and Jedi Consular. And this is why I would have Biston in your initial lineup. He can stealth himself, so that way he doesn't take any damage, and on that stealth he will cause target lock. So he's one more target lock character that you'll have. And I would actually do Biggs, Wedge, TIE Fighter pilot, because he does target lock as well, Biston for target lock, and then Jedi Consular. He kind of hits hard, he calls an assist, so you're going to get more target lock potential with him calling an assist, and he's a little durable, plus he's going to do protection up and keep your team around. As the backup for what you have inventory wise, because you don't have a huge selection of characters to choose from, I would probably put Resistance X-Wing in your first slot backup, and then Geonosian Soldier in the second slot. Geonosian is slow, so you want him on the bench, so when he comes in he can instantly do his abilities, but he is slow, so having him in your initial lineup is going to hurt you a little. That's what I would do. I think by changing up your ship's lineup right now with Biggs, Wedge, TIE Fighter pilot, Biston, and Jedi Consular, and then the Resistance and Geonosian Soldier in the backup, I think you're going to be able to climb into the top 250 as long as you're doing your 5 attacks a day. Now, time-wise, that's the issue, is do you have time to do 5 arena attacks to climb and 5 ship arena attacks to climb? So there you go. That's how I would recommend getting into your top 10 of arena, is by using a Darth Vader lead, Emperor Palpatine, Boba Fett, and someone like, B2 and Shore. 9B, the node, you're really going to need Jedi Knight Anakin. You need to get him, so you got to figure out if he's more important than B2 in arena. Your top projects, I'm going to say Darth Vader, TIE Fighter pilot, Admiral Akbar, Jedi Knight Anakin, Ahsoka, Boba, Maul, B2, and then make sure you're farming 3 ships, Ahsoka's ship in Galactic War, Maul's ship and Boba Fett's ship, and split your arena tokens, your fleet arena tokens when you can. Don't focus on a particular faction. Little Mike, you're doing awesome. I hope this helped you. If you have more questions, hit me up on Discord that we have. As always, I hope this has helped everybody out. Keep your gaming on. Warrior out.